Next video is what it means to be an American. And to me, I think the subtext should be how to blend in if you're an alien. Because this video is just so weird. We'll jump into what it means to be an American. Frith Films present what it means to be an American.
In what way does an American enjoy a way of life that other countries do not have? Our people have certain characteristics that built this country to its modern, pleasant way of living, with its unusual opportunities for good jobs, education, and individual freedom.
And again, this was kind of a propaganda film put out, pushing out to younger people, kind of getting that in their heads that America, and all the great things about it.
Your ancestors have added many rooms to the original house. Or you live in a town like Salem, Massachusetts, that is rich in American folklore. Perhaps you live in a large city like New York.
We're getting like a Huey Lewis in the News, Heart of Rock and Roll still beating intro here. Or perhaps you live in Atlanta, or Dallas,
South Carolina,
Charleston, Miami, Florida. Just throw out all the towns right there as we can
are famous for their charm and gracious living.
pick up as we go along
Wherever
here.
you live in America, the ideals of your parents will be much the same. You may live near Miami, Florida.
Called it.
Or you may live in our great Midwest.
Generalized
Or in
city.
the West, in Colorado Springs. Or Denver. Or in a desert home near Tucson, Arizona, built to withstand the desert heat. Or in the far west in California.
Again, they're kind of doing that Huey Lewis in the News, the Heart of Rock and Roll. Just list every town. Just keep pushing them.
The fact that we have so many types of land and climate tends to make us a tolerant people with many different interests and ideas. We grow the products of both hot and cold climates and are rich in natural resources like lumber, oil, and rare minerals. Thus, we are less dependent on other countries than most peoples of the world. Our country is divided into states with capitals like Helena, Montana. Here, much of the government is carried on according to the needs of that part of the country. Sacramento, California.
Are we going to say anything about... We didn't say anything about Sacramento. They just threw Sacramento out there. In Frankfort, Kentucky. We're not saying anything about these towns, just putting them out
Austin,
there.
Texas.
Again, I think it's a film to actually get aliens
We are governed both
familiar
by our
with the
national
states and
government
capitals.
and by our state government, and this tends to keep us from having too strong a centralized government. Boston has many historical places dear to all Americans. While our people have great independence, we are closely united in a common, colorful history. The famous Boston Commons. Tourists from all over America visit Paul Revere's home. Every child knows the story of how the lantern was hung in the steeple of this North Church to give Paul Revere the signal to warn the colonists that the British were coming to attack. When children see this statue of Paul Revere, they like to imagine how he rode bravely through the night. A teacher has taken her class to visit the beloved church and climb up into the famous steeple. But something that is very unusual in other countries is happening in the church courtyard. Men are discussing politics and saying what they think. An everyday scene.
I think that's kind of weird for a church common ground, isn't it? For people to just gather up randomly and talk politics.
The right to speak freely is not enjoyed by all peoples of the world. Our great national parks, like Glacier Park, belong to all of us. Travelers from every state are inspired by the beauty of the mountain peaks. In America, there is a car for about every 4 people, so that many families take trips to different parts of the country.
Okay, I
They
wonder
learn to
how
know
much
their
that's
country,
changed. A car
what the
for every
people in
four
other
people when
states
this came
think
out.
and do.
I imagine it's much
In
higher
Europe
now.
and the Orient, cars are great luxuries, and motor trips are not possible for the average family. An American takes for granted the freedom to come and go and to do as he pleases, a freedom that is most unusual in the world of today. Let's look in on a typical American family on a northwestern fruit farm and see how little Americans start out in life. It is Sunday, and the Kings plan to stay home and relax with their children. Terry, 7, Johnny, 4, and Paul, the baby. They make themselves comfortable around the sandpile, and everything seems happy and serene. But only for a moment. The Kings try at first to let their children work out their own problem. Terry and Johnny both want the same toy, a real fight. Mother scolds. When will these children learn to be kind and generous with each other, to give and take?
Dad steps in and takes the toy for himself.
Father comforts Johnny and tries to make Terry understand that the toy belongs to Johnny. Terry feels ashamed. He will have many growing up pains before he is an adult. From the time American children are very small, they are taught that each person should have consideration. American children are encouraged to think for themselves, to make good decisions. Even small American boys love mechanical toys. They like to find out what makes them run. Parents encourage this interest, and it's no wonder that we are a nation highly trained in mechanical skills. Paul tries again and again to make his truck run on the board. He is a small boy to be trying so hard, a typical American boy.
Again, pushing that this is the
The
American,
boy's cousins live on the adjoining farm, a typical American scene.
what
The family
what all
are
Americans
having a
should
picnic
strive
in
to
the
kind of be.
backyard.
They're kind of pushing that idea in this, and this would be
Everyone is
shown in
jealous.
earlier in school.
Brother and Ann quarrel over the potato chips. Dad says, "Stop fighting, children." Sometimes it seems as if Dad never has a chance to rest.
And again, kind of promoting that American nuclear family of
Sit
the
up straight.
dad's kind of the disciplinarian, the
Now,
mom's
don't
there
talk all
as
at the
the
same
comforting.
time. Even small children feel free to speak their own opinions in an American home. And so it goes. The Cars have finished dinner and are trying out the new badminton court. Dad shows them how to hold the racket
How many
and
people
serve the
play
bird.
badminton still?
It
I
takes a
think
lot
that
of
kind of went
patience
out
to
of
bring up an
fashion in the
American family,
60s.
as each
Badminton
person
kind of
has
had a very
his or
short
her
life in
own
America.
idea about how things should be done. Now try again, children. You'll do better next time. Mr. Carr is a typical American father and encourages his children in all their activities. Jimmy and Molly and Ann are having a lot of fun learning how the game should be played. That looks fine. Molly hits it very well. Father and Emily applaud. Now Jimmy serves. Molly hits a good one, and Jimmy misses, much to little sister's delight.
Again, this is kind of where it feels like this is
Then
a
Father and
video
Molly
instructing
show the
aliens how to
children how the
blend
game
in
should
into
be
the
played.
American life. Because a lot of this stuff would have been seen or exemplified to American families at that time, and then this is just like filling them in.
Another typical family situation. Ann and Molly both plan to ride.
How
Ann
is that a
has a
typical
horse.
thing? How many people had
Out
horses?
comes Molly. This
How is
time
that a
it's Molly's
typical
turn.
American
She has a
situation?
date to ride with a friend. Well, as usual, Father comes to the rescue. Life is made up of many small decisions. But as we make each one, we are building the type of person we will be when we grow up. As the children grow up, many teachers take a hand in their bringing up. Patiently, they explain the lessons, teach them to think and act and meet their daily problems, to think things through by themselves.
For a lot of these kids,
Now,
it
class
probably
is
had to be the
dismissed.
first time they've ever seen a camera, or a recording camera in this time, like a film camera.
And the world seems discouraging. But it's all part of learning to think for yourself, to live the American way. Many problems will be met and conquered on the playground.
Just a 3-boy tussle right there in the middle of the playground. I don't even know what they're fighting for at this point. It just seems like they were just tussling just to tussle.
But now to return to the cars. Mr. Carr is inspecting the orchard. Mother and Emily go along. Father shows Emily which cherries are ripe and just how to pick them without injuring the stems. She wants to pick some herself.
So those cherries were huge. Am I wrong on that? They seem like enormous cherries.
To be interested in what other people are doing, to take part in everything that goes on around them. Father walks over to the pickers. Something is wrong. They are including inferior fruit in their boxes. Mr. Carr's fruit will be judged by a few sample boxes. This will decide the price for the carload. He explains to the men the loss he will take if second-grade fruit is included. And now a touch of America. The men argue with their boss. They don't agree. And in America, every man has the right to speak out. Mr. Carr is patient. He likes his men to feel free to make suggestions, and he wants to know if they have a better idea. Finally, the trouble is straightened out, and the men laugh as they return to their work. Mr. Carr is fair, and the men like to work.
Again,
with
it's
him.
talking about like a small
Emily
local
listens.
farmer.
He has
That's
some
something we don't
confidence
see as
in
much,
his
especially
dad.
in like fruit
She's used to
fields and things
hearing
like
her
that
father try to make
anymore. A
good
lot of those
decisions
businesses
and
are
give
owned
every
by
man a
large
fair deal.
conglomerate companies, things like that. So that's a big change. And having the cherries all
Same
picked by
feeling of
hand, I think, is
independence
also
is found
probably a
in any
fairly
American
significant
industry.
change.
For example, building a house. The head foreman discusses the work with Bill, the work foreman. Bill has been with the firm many years. He started at the bottom and worked up to his present position. Bill studies his plans to know how much lumber he must order. His men work hard, but there is a carefree atmosphere not found in countries controlled by a dictatorship. The head foreman knows that with Bill in charge, the work will be well done and finished on time.
So this is another thing you're kind of seeing in this. They don't make any mention of it, but they're showing
America has built such great industries is that
African Americans and Caucasian Americans working together very closely, because this is also during an attempt to desegregate things like that. So they're trying to show that in these films to younger kids, so that way it kind of isn't such a shock, and that kind of can battle some of what they've been told by other people. So it's just been kind of included. It's part of this whole idea that they have on here, and how to bring that into society.
In the American way of life. The work continues.
Then some child labor thrown in there, just randomly, you know, as you do.
Next to him is a plasterer. They all have a cooperative way of working. Bill and his men are a good illustration of how work is done in America. The difference in the attitude of men in a free country and one controlled by a dictatorship.
And again, you're kind of looking at this post World War II has just been maybe 6 years removed from this.
With no fear of interference. It is hard to realize here that in some countries the people are afraid of their governments. The same freedom of speech would be true in this Pennsylvania steel plant, in this Texas oil industry, or in this South Carolina match factory. At this Long Beach Ford plant, notice the cars of the workmen. Workmen in foreign countries do not go to their jobs in cars, nor do they have such luxuries as electric stoves, washing machines, irons, radios, and television sets.
I bet that washing machine could have held every clothes in your house. That was a huge washing machine.
The opportunities provided by our state universities, such as the University of Wyoming.
That stove was also enormous. You see how many burners and different things that thing had? That could have cooked for an army.
American children have a better chance to make good because of their higher average education. The University of New Hampshire, the University of Florida. We are indeed fortunate to have a chance to learn and think for ourselves, and not to be controlled by the state every minute of our lives. We also have private colleges like Dartmouth. The universities exist to train young people for service to their communities and country. Doctors, scientists, businessmen, teachers, and engineers. In America,
Again, the degree programs would have been a lot more limited back then as well.
A historical church in Charleston, South Carolina. A Presbyterian church in Wichita, Kansas. Freedom of religion is a great privilege. St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. In an Indian village near Gallup, New Mexico, the church is the center of the life of the people, holding a dear place in their hearts. Near Gallup, there is a street fair, and on the merry-go-round is a good example of the many types of children that make America.
So that is something that we kind of missed. They used to have these carousels for the United States in different towns, and now it's only there when the fair comes in or whatever.
All fortunate children brought up in the freedom of our country. We all want to be loyal citizens, but how can we help? Watch these young people preparing for the high school commencement exercises. What can you do in your daily life to become a person good for America? Well, I believe
this is where the
you are
propaganda
doing it
starts
now.
hitting just a little bit harder.
If you were here with these high school boys, you would know how to pitch in and help. No one is telling these boys to work. They have learned that in America, it is necessary for each person to do his part, and to do it cheerfully. To be sincerely interested in the people around.
Now that is a picnic table that will last forever. Do you see all the different cross beams and everything else? That picnic table must weigh a ton.
That we saw in the men building the house. They listen to the advice of their teacher, but each boy feels free to give his own opinion. Yes, they will tease and joke, but before the curtain rises, their work will be finished on time. Whether it's sorting papers, hauling tables into position, nailing up signs, or preparing a speech. The loudspeaker equipment must be ready for use.
Oh my Lord. Okay, look at the megaphone or the speaker system right there. Could you imagine having to drag that out?
And the young people hurry home to get ready for the big event tomorrow.
Everyone get on your suits and ties. Oh, it's a graduation ceremony, okay.
Incident. Bert's sister is graduating. His father wants information about parking the car, and Bert is sure the patrolman will help him. He always knows that he can go to the
I
police
could not
and
imagine a
help.
town that would make their police officers wear that regularly would have very many
People
police
fear their
officers.
police.
Those things had to be made straight out of
Coming
wool.
from these countries tell us that our greatest American privilege, the thing we can be most thankful for, is our freedom from fear. Bert's sister will have many decisions to make, but she is trained to make her own decisions the American way. They are serious as they enter the stage, realizing as never before that our way of life is being attacked and that its survival lies in their hands. They will meet each crisis of their lives with judgment and integrity, because behind each thought and decision lies their heritage and bringing up in the American way, at home, at school.
That's, again, we're going to bring that, they're going to bring it back to like really doing some propaganda right here.
And think straight. If we all work together, it becomes a mighty force.
But again, how many other towns have little areas like that where you can do outdoor events and things?
In the cold air, these fall as snowflakes and make the beautiful snowdrifts. On warm days, the snow melts and trickles down the ravines.
Oh, we lost one.
These small streams join until they become raging torrents, roaring down the mountainsides.
What?
Truly, the small drops of water, by uniting, have become a great force. On the west side of the divide, these rivers may flow into the Columbia River. In the same way, in the Middle West, small streams may become the Mississippi River. In the Far East, the Niagara River flows over the high cliffs to become Niagara Falls. In the same way, throughout the length and breadth of our country, each one of you doing your part at home, at school, and at play is building a force that is capable of keeping
so showing like
America safe.
kind of blending in that a little bit of propaganda with like, okay, here's some national parks, some national treasure areas.
The great feeling of sympathy, understanding, and generosity toward our fellow man that is America, and the determination to work and fight for this ideal will keep America a bulwark of freedom for the peoples in all parts of the world.
The end. All right, let's get our lights back on over here. There we go. So that was what it means to be an American